All right, we have Dolphins draft preview. Not exactly the longest draft preview. This will be a smaller one. Dolphins don't love the draft. They like to trade their picks, and it's very interesting where I just recorded my Rams video. I'm not sure exactly which order they're going to be posted, but within a couple hours, they will both be posted. And it's very interesting seeing the difference between those two teams. Two teams that are kind of becoming known for trading away their first-round picks to get players. The Rams make a conscious effort to get as many picks later on in the rounds as possible. Dolphins seemingly not so much. Just 4 overall selections in the 2023 draft, but I think that they kind of made the most of them, specifically the first 2 I am very fascinated by. Really the first one. I love the Cam Smith selection. Now, Cam Smith's someone who, he's 51st on the consensus big board. They drafted him 51st. That's what the chart is. The player, the position, where they were drafted, and then where they ranked on the consensus big board. Was ranked 37th on the consensus big board. So he falls a little bit in this draft class, which, a lot of times it's not the best idea, actually, to draft corners in round 2. They don't always hit the way you would want them to. Usually it's the first-round corners. Those are the guys to make sure you go after. But I think that for him, it's a bit of an exception. For one thing, again, that's just by and large what happens. Not every draft is the same. I really like Cam Smith. I think he's a really smart player, and that's something I really value, especially when it's a Vic Fangio style system. I think that's actually really exciting. I think he has great ball skills. He's not an elite athlete, but he's good. Runs a 4.43. That's definitely good. You'll take that. He's not one of these super athletes, but 6'1", runs a 4.43. You'll take that. Here's why he fell a little bit is I think people are paying too much attention to last year's tape. Now, again, most positions, that's smart. Most positions paying the most attention to the tape that you just saw is good, smart football. However, for corners, it's different because they are so fluky year in and year out. Having a not great year, the most previous year when you've had good years in years past, is actually smart, and it's something that, the Rams did it with Jalen Ramsey, right? Jalen Ramsey coming off a bad year, they traded for him. That was in the NFL, so certainly in college, it's a way you can get someone who can be good, and again, with Vic Fangio, who you just kind of trust with the secondary, you're in a situation now where, did they need Cam Smith? On paper, no, right? Jalen Ramsey, Xavier Howard, and Kader Kohou that's a great 1-2-3 combo. You're good. You don't have to worry about it. But the thing is that corners are so fluky. Getting another guy in the room is just it's not even what is smart. It's what you just should do. So this is the key pick that everyone's going to talk about with the Dolphins, and it makes sense because this is the most important one. In my opinion, they got, I did not have 31 first-round grades this draft, and there were 31 picks. I only had it was 27 total first-round grades. I had one on Cam Smith, so getting him in round 2, in my opinion, that's a big win. Another guy who I like a lot, I had him on my top 5 running back list, Devin Achane, who... Here's one thing I'm going to say this, Dolphins fans. I don't know if when you only have 4 selections, if it's smart to draft a running back, especially when, your system, running backs, seemingly should be able to be effective regardless. The running back doesn't seem to matter too much in that system, and you have guys like Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert that should be solid. I don't love the positional value, even though pick 84, and again, he was on 66 on the consensus big board. I actually do like the value of getting him, though, if that makes sense. I think that if only 4 picks, I think maybe there's better places they could have gone with it. But at the same time, pick 84, getting a talented player, I don't really hate it either. I'm conflicted on the pick, I guess. I see both sides. Part of me loves the pick because I think Achane's really good. Again, top 5 running back on my board. He fell a little bit in the draft, so pick him up. I think that he has great speed, and that should work really well in that system. He's going to be a great player for him. In my opinion, he's immediately their running back 1 in the room, and they have a couple of good running backs, but I think that he should be the starter right away. So, again, I think that if they had 7 picks, then I would be immediately like, yep, great selection. A lot of times these are more luxury picks, and they don't have as many selections, but maybe that's not fair. Maybe they should just go after whatever's going to help them the team regardless. Whether you have 7 picks or 4 picks, does it really matter? I guess not. So I'll change my mind, and I will say that I think I've talked myself into being a fan of the A-Chain selection. Elijah Higgins, wide receiver, question mark. So it's funny, he for some reason on Pro Football Focus's page is listed as an edge, and so I was like, okay, let me double check and figure out who's right and who's wrong. This happens all the time. There's so many prospects, positions get positions sometimes get put in wrong. I'm sure on my videos I've had a couple positions get put in wrong. It happens. So I was like, okay, let me just check his size to see if he's an edge or a receiver. And he's 6'3", 235 pounds, and runs a 4.5. And I'm like, I still don't know. Are you an edge or are you a receiver? Somehow, that did not give it away, so I had to keep looking. So he is a receiver who I believe they want to have him play tight end. I think they're hoping for maybe a Darren Waller type situation. And listen, with that athleticism, it's interesting. That's what they're drafting him for. He doesn't have a ton of production, and you're, with a 6th round pick, you're basically saying, hey, you're the kind of guy who it's sort of similar to what the Eagles did with Jordan Mailata, right? Jordan Mailata had never played football, basically, and they said, you are someone who is built like you were built in a lab to play offensive line. So they drafted him in the 7th round, and he's turned into an amazing tackle for them. Feels like that's kind of what the Dolphins are doing a bit with Elijah Higgins. Again, he's played receiver, which is not that dissimilar from tight end, although it's certainly dissimilar. But they're basically saying, you are a great athlete who seems like you should be able to be a great tight end. That's not what you've done, but let's see if we can get it to work. And I don't know, maybe it could work out, maybe it won't, but it's certainly worth taking a flyer on with pick 179 at this point, especially because tight end is a bit of a position of need, I would say. I don't know how much confidence I have in Durham Smythe. Apologies to Smythe and the Smythe family, but that's just kind of how I personally view it as of right now. Then you have Ryan Hayes, the final pick. Again, pick 238 was considered higher on the consensus big board at 206. Not very good at all. Analytics, that's just not something that he really is bringing to the table right here. Although I do also have to say, maybe not as bad as you would think for someone who was drafted, with pick, there was 235 players selected before him. He was drafted in the 7th round. Could be worse there, I suppose. So I really don't expect much. I would say I'm assuming he's just a pure depth offensive lineman, which, hey, again, for 238, what are you really getting here? So they only had 4 selections, and they drafted a running back with one of those early selections. But still, if you came out of this with, with the little draft capital you had, still getting a starting caliber corner, you might not start right away, but a starting caliber corner, a starting caliber running back, potential starting caliber tight end, who also has a low floor, and then a depth offensive lineman. There's worse ways to spend those picks. So I think they made the most out of what they had. So I'm going to say this is a very good draft by the Dolphins, despite the fact that they only had 4 picks. So yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on the Dolphins draft? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.